केवल बनाने तक सीमित नहीं रखा, बल्कि इसने ये भी सोचा कि इसको जो है बड़े बुजुर्गों को देकर उनसे इसके बारे में फीडबैक लेते हैं। और फाइनली इसने क्या किया कि इस वॉकर को उन लोगों तक पहुंचाया जिनको इसकी जरूरत है। इस दौरान जितने भी लोगों ने वॉकर यूज़ किया शालिनी का, उन्होंने काफ़ी उसमें सजेशंस दिए कि उसको मॉडिफाई कैसे कर सकते हैं, उसको इम्प्रूव कैसे कर सकते हैं। सो शालिनी ने एक और वॉकर बनाया जिसमें जो कि पहले से इम्प्रूव वर्जन था। ऐसे करते हुए उसने इस कंप्लीट वॉकर को एक डेवलप किया और आजकल जो है कुछ लोग इस वॉकर को यूज़ करके ऊपर नीचे चढ़ पा रहे हैं और वॉकर की वजह से कई और जगह जा पा रहे हैं जब पहले वो नहीं जा पा रहे। अगर हम शालिनी की जो इनोवेशन की एक जर्नी देखेंगे तो इसमें कुछ चीज़ें बिल्कुल सामने आती हैं। एक तो ये है कि पहले शालिनी ने एक समस्या को खोजा, उसने एक समस्या को देखा जो अपने ही घर में हो रहा था या अपने आसपास हो रहा था। फिर उस समस्या के बारे में थोड़ा सोचा और उस समस्या के समाधान के लिए कुछ आइडिया निकाला जिसे हम विचार करते हैं। और केवल अपना जो है आइडिया तक ही सीमित न रखते हुए उसने उसका एक प्रोटोटाइप बनाया। दैट मीन्स कि इसको जो है एक चलता फुटता एक प्रोडक्ट बनाया और उस प्रोटोटाइप को लोगों तक लेके जो इसके लाभार्थी थे, लाभार्थियों से काम करते हुए उसने उसको इम्प्रूव किया। और इन 4 स्टेप्स की वजह से जो एक समस्या थी जो कि बड़े बुजुर्ग जो वॉकर कई जगह यूज़ नहीं कर पाते थे, आज शालिनी की जो खोज और इनोवेशन की वजह से बहुत सारे लोग इसके लाभार्थी हैं और वो यूज़ कर पा रहे हैं। तो अगर एक तरह से हम इनोवेशन की बात करें तो इनोवेशन में ये चारों कंपोनेंट्स, ये जो चारों स्टेप्स हैं ये आते हैं। एक तो ये है कि किस समस्या पे काम करें और समस्या को कैसे ढूंढें और उसको समस्या को कैसे खोजें। दूसरी ये है कि इस समस्या को कैसे समझें,
For example, if I buy one and actually use it on my wrist, then it can monitor your temperature, it can monitor your blood pressure and many of the vital health parameters. And these are now becoming very common and more people are actually using it. So what Deva did is she found that there are enough such solutions are available for human beings, but there is nothing or there is no such solution which is available for animals. So she came up with a wearable which can be put on animals as a locket, and then you can also monitor many of the health parameters, because often animals go into distress and they can't express like human beings. So you actually need a device to measure the distress in animals and their health. And she came up with one such solution as a school student when she was in class 10, and actually built and demonstrated the solution for this particular problem. I go to a third student whose name is Madhav Lavate. Madhav was again a student in 10th class. He saw that one of the days one of his classmates actually left the school. And he wanted to know why did this student actually leave the school. And he came to know that student left because student was hard of hearing and deaf and was not able to actually follow the lessons which teachers generally tell in a class, etc. So he found it very difficult to accommodate himself in a classroom because classroom was not accessible, and he decided to leave the school. This particular point actually stuck Madhav. Madhav wanted to work on some solution. So after his 10th class exams, during a summer, he started working on a solution. And after a couple of years, he came in the innovation process. important thing which one must remember in the process of innovation, which also happened with all the three students, is that when they came up with their solution, it did not work in the first attempt. They have to come up with a solution, take it to people or the beneficiaries and try it, and then they see that it's not working the way it is expected, come back and redo, and they have to fail a few times, and finally they succeeded. So often in our school education, failure is taken as a negative thing, but in an innovation process, failure is considered as an asset. The more you fail, the more knowledgeable you are and more ready to come up with a solution which is likely to work. So don't take failures in the innovation process in a very negative way, and it is something which is a welcome step.
उतना तो लंबा है।
An example, if you go to, let's say, today's newspaper and look at the news items, there are many news items in the newspaper which are not pleasant, which bothers us. Now, all those problems which are mentioned in the newspaper are opportunities for innovation. So we look at those as not as a problem, but an opportunity to innovate is an example. For example, somebody can say that I live in a colony which is not clean, is an opportunity that there is a possibility for an innovation. Or the town in which I live has a air pollution, is an opportunity which can be addressed through innovation. Or somebody can come and say, my school has a toilet which cannot be used by people who use the wheelchair. Is also a problem for the school, but there is a possibility for finding a solution to this problem. The problem can be at a much bigger level, like a country. You can say that country such as ours has a large number of traffic accidents. How do we prevent loss of lives during these accidents, or how do we prevent accidents themselves, is a big problem, and there are enough innovations, hundreds of innovations which are possible in this area. Or even somebody can say, I want to address a global problem. The planet is going through a serious crisis of climate change, and there is a fast depletion of ozone layer. So how do I address this is also a problem which can be addressed through multiple innovation solutions. I can even go back beyond the planet. If you really look at the space, even the space is becoming a junk, with a lot of satellites and rockets which were launched and which are not operational into space, making it as a junk. And clearing that junk in a space is also a problem. So, problem can be anything from domestic to a community to a city, a global problem, or even beyond the planet. So, there is no dearth of problems. The only thing which innovator has to do is to keep eyes open and look at the problems from a very different lens in order to identify them as opportunities. And that's a very, very first step in the innovation process. Somebody can say, okay, I want to be an innovator, and he wanted to know why did this student actually leave the school. And he came to know that student left because student was hard of hearing and deaf and was not able to actually follow the lessons which teachers generally tell in a class, etc. So he found it very difficult to accommodate himself in a classroom because classroom was not accessible, and he decided to leave the school. This particular point actually struck Madhav. Madhav wanted to work on some solution. So after his 10th class exams, during a summer, he started working on a solution. And after a couple of years, he came up with this new glasses, which are wearable. The glass also have an add-on device. What this add-on device does is that it converts speech into text. As the teacher is speaking, the person who is deaf or hard of hearing can actually read the same spoken text on the screen of this particular special, you can say, the spectacles which we designed. This is called as the transparent glass, and this is now being used by quite a few people to basically be inclusive in places where there are a lot of spoken activities. So what we wanted to actually give a message to these examples is that these are all school students and came up with very interesting innovations, and they actually showed that these innovations are possible, and also got a lot of awards and names for these devices this taking. First thing is all Shalini, Diva and Madhav, they came up with, when they faced this particular problem, they did not complain or they did not quit. It's very common among ourselves. When we come across a problem, we actually blame government, we blame, let's say, authorities. Let's say it happens in a community, we blame the public. So blaming and quitting is a very common when we encounter a problem. But a person who wants to be an innovator, whenever they come across a problem, instead of complaining and quitting, they actually look at these problems as an opportunity. So that is what these three students did. They searched for solutions to solve these problems. They wanted to know, are there any solutions already available for these problems, or why are these problems